Hello students, today we are going to do That Little Square Box by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was a British writer famous for his stories about the brilliant detective Sherlock Holmes. The story broke new ground in crime fiction. His other works include fantasy and science fiction stories, plays, romances, poetry, non-fiction and historical novels. Some of his other famous books are The Lost World and The White Company. The speaker is a nervous man traveling from America to England on board the ship Spartan. Now that is the name of the ship. He sees two men board the ship at the last minute and is immediately suspicious of the strange object they are carrying and their secretive manner. At times we do get suspicious of the way others are behaving. What are the two men planning? Will the speaker be able to stop them? Read on to solve the mystery of that little square box. We are fairly started upon our voyage. What is voyage? When we travel by a journey by ship. There was a general rush among the passengers in search of berths. So everybody was searching for their berths. Berth is where you sleep on. A pile of luggage was lying on one side of the deck awaiting their turn to be taken below. With my usual love for solitude, I walked behind these and sat on a coil of rope, and he sat upon them, between them and the vessel's side. Now what is solitude? It is a state of being alone that the speaker enjoys. So the speaker enjoys being alone. So what does he do? He goes and sit on the coil of rope. I was aroused from my daydreams by a whisper behind me. Here's a quiet place, said the voice. Sit down and we can talk it over in safety. Now when somebody is saying that we can talk it over in safety, that means nobody is supposed to overhear it. Glancing through a gap between two colossal chests, I saw that the passengers who had joined us at the last moment were standing on the other side of the pile. Colossal means extremely large. So he was just, keeping an eye on them. They had fallen to see me as I crouched in the shadow of the boxes. What do you mean by crouched? Adopt a position where the knees are bent and the upper body is brought forward. The one who had spoken was a tall and very thin man with a blue beard and a colorless face. His manner was nervous and excited. So, whatever you're feeling, it shows on your face. You could be nervous. So he was nervous as well as excited about what he's doing. His companion was a short little fellow with a brisk air. Brisk air means appearance of being quick, determined and practical. They both glanced around uneasily as if to make sure they were alone. Now they are looking around whether they're alone or not. Like when someone looks around, you get suspicious. Why are they looking? What do they have to do? Why do they want to be alone? Well, Muller, say the taller of the two, we have got it aboard right enough. So he says that we have got on board right on time. Yes, agreed the man whom he had addressed as Muller. It was rather a near go. What do you mean by a near go? They were narrowly avoided missing the ship. So it wouldn't have done to have missed the ship. So they were about to miss the ship. No, it would have put our plans out. So when he says plans out, that means they have some plans. And the other person, whoever is overhearing them, would get suspicious. What kind of plans they are? Let me see it. Is no one looking? Again he mentions that whatever they are doing, no one should look at them. So definitely who's looking would definitely get suspicious. No, they are nearly all below. So the other one mentions that everyone is below in the ship. We can't be too careful where so much is at stake. At stake means in a situation where they can lose something important if their plan is not successful. So that means definitely they are planning something, and if they do go somewhere wrong in their planning, then they can be caught. said Muller, and laid a dark object upon the deck. One glance at it was enough to cause me to spring to my feet, and with an exclamation of horror. So one glance at it, what did the person who was overhearing? He got excited. He's like, what has happened here? He got terrified, in fact. Luckily, they were so engrossed in the matter on hand that neither of them observed me. So he was very shocked. He was, what are they up to? That's what he's thinking right now. From the first moment of their conversation, I had felt a horrible sense of misgiving, doubt or fear about whether what is happening is right. So he had that feeling that maybe there is something wrong happening here. It seemed more than confirmed as I gazed at what lay before me. So he was thinking, what is there inside that? Why are they hiding? Why is it that they don't want anybody to see it? It was a little box made of some dark wood. It reminded me of a pistol case. So he thought there was a pistol inside, and that was a box of a pistol. Only it was much higher. There was a trigger-like arrangement upon the lid. So it looked like that the pistol's trigger is there on top of the lid, to which a coil of string was attached. Beside this trigger there was a small square opening through the wood. The tall man Flanagan, as his companion called him, peered in for several minutes with an expression of intense anxiety upon his face. So he was very anxious. So that expressions on his face also confirmed that there was something wrong. It seems right enough, he said at last. I tried not to shake it, said the companion. Such delicate things need delicate treatment, put it some of the needful Muller. So they are saying that here, that these delicate things need to be handled delicately. Okay, so definitely there is something that could have gone wrong if they do not help them tackle them delicately. The shorter man looked in his pocket for some time and then produced a small paper packet. He opened this and took out half a handful of whitish grains, which he poured down through the box to the hole. Now what did he do? He took out some grains and put it into the hole. A curious clicking noise followed from the inside of the box, and both the men smiled in a satisfied way. Curious means strange or unusual. Look out, here's someone coming, said Flanagan. Take it down to the berth. We won't need it until tonight, and it will be safe there. That means they were trying to hide from others. They didn't want anyone to see it. So there's a suspicion there what they're up to. It wouldn't do to have anyone suspecting what our game is. Again, when he's talking about game, you get suspicious. What are they up to? Or worse still, have them fumbling with the box and letting it off by mistake. Okay, fumbling here means handling the box clumsily or carelessly and letting it off by mistake. So what is there that could go off by mistake? And the two men laughed with a cold, harsh laugh before bearing the mysterious little box away with them. And they laughed and they took the box away with them. How long I remained sitting on that coil of rope, I shall never know. I tried to recall the words which had been spoken in the terrible dialogue I had overheard. Now this man is sitting there and he is recalling whatever they had talked. So he's kind of trying to analyze it. Could these facts lead to any other conclusions? It was clear to me that they were the desperate agents of some group. Now agents here are the people who work secretly for an organization. Here the speaker means member of a terrorist group. So he's thinking these are member of the terrorist group who intend to sacrifice themselves, their fellow passengers and the ship in one great explosion. Now where had this taken place, if you can remember? It happened in 9/11, 9th of September. Yes, it was the World Trade Center, and there was a plane that was flown into that building. Many passenger who was on board the aeroplane, they lost their lives, and also all of them, most of them who were there inside the building also lost their lives. So that's what he's, suspecting, that there might be another terrorist attack. The whitest grain which I had seen one of them pour into the box no doubt formed a fuse for exploding it. What is fuse now? The object or material that is lit to make a bomb explode. Now, so he's thinking this is something to explode the bomb. That's why they have put it in. I had heard a sound come from the box which might have emitted by some delicate piece of machinery. So what is he thinking? There's a machinery inside it. But what did they mean by tonight? So he was suspicious. What is going to happen tonight? Could it be that they were putting their horrible design into action? Now, horrible design is their plan into action. On the very first evening of our voyage. Is it that they are going to do it right now only? They are going to carry out their plans right now? The mere thought of it sent a cold shudder over me. So, sent a cold shudder over me means made me feel extremely afraid and or worried. So he's like a person who gets, scared at everything. Dinner, a whirl of conflicting ideas was battling in my mind. So when he was having dinner, there was a debate rapidly between many different and confusing ideas in his mind that were going on. What was I to do? Should I accuse them before both passengers and captain? So he's thinking, should I go to the passengers and the captain and tell what's happening here? Should I demand a few minutes conversation with the latter in his cabin and reveal it all? Latter here is the captain. So he's thinking he should go to his cabin, to the captain's cabin, and reveal everything. For an instant, I was half determined to do it. Not fully determined, but half. He was not a kind of a man who could take decisions immediately. But the thought of becoming observed by all, so he doesn't like, everyone observing him, questioned by a stranger, and the stranger, the captain is definitely a stranger to him. So he's going to question him. Where did you see? What happened? And confronted by the two conspirators was hateful to me. Confronted means be face to face with someone threatening and aggressive. So he thought that these conspirators are going to come and question me. Where did you see? How did you see? What made you think that we are doing something wrong? So he got scared. He got terrified. Might it not be possible that I was mistaken? So he's thinking, maybe I might be wrong at this point of time. No, I would procrastinate. That means delay doing something that he should do because he does not want to or is afraid to. So he is putting it off because he's afraid to do it. I would keep my eye on the two men and follow them at every turn. So he's planning to keep an eye on those two men, what they are up to. I saw the villains heading to the deck after dinner, so he's following them and followed them. I quickly hid myself in one of the lifeboats that was hung over the deck. So what did he do? He went and hid inside the lifeboats. Now children, each ship that is traveling, they have lifeboats with them. Because if anything happens to the ship, then these passengers are put on the lifeboats and then they can go to the seashore. So in it, I could reconsider my course of action, and by raising my head, I could get a view of the two men. So he could raise his head and he could look at both the men. It was so dark that I could hardly make out their figures. So he could not see properly because of the darkness. A few of the passengers were scattered about the deck, but many had gone below. So most of them had gone below, and some of them were on the deck. A strange stillness seemed to pervade the air. This means that nothing was happening, but the atmosphere seemed tense as if something was about to happen. We were to let it off at 10, were we not? said a voice from night right below my boat. So he was overhearing, and one of the voice said this. Yes, at sharp 10. We have 8 minutes yet. They will hear the drop of the trigger, won't they? It doesn't matter. It will be too late for anyone to prevent it's going off. So they are discussing that nobody will be able to prevent it. It will definitely go. There was a pause here. Then I heard Muller's voice in a ghastly whisper. Ghastly means very unpleasant and frightening. So his voice was very frightening and very unpleasant. There's only 5 minutes more. So only 5 minutes were left for the execution of their plan, whatever they had planned. How slowly the moments seemed to pass. I could count them by the throbbing of my heart. So the moments were passing very slowly. That's from this line you can infer that he was a little scared here. Okay, so when you're scared, the time passes very slow. It will make a sensation on land, said a voice. Sensation means extreme and widespread surprise and excitement. So they are saying whatever they are going to do right now, it is going to create a sensation. Everybody is going to, get surprised with what they have done. Yes, it will make a noise in the newspapers. The deck was deserted now. Deserted now means there was nobody on the deck. There seemed no hope, no help. Death stared me in the face. So what this man is thinking, that definitely I'm going to die now. Die now. Whether I did or did not give the alarm. So he was thinking at this point of time there is no hope left, and if he gives the alarm also there is no way of stopping such a thing. He thought that definitely he is going to die. 3 minutes more, Flanagan said. Put it down upon the deck. So they are discussing what is to be done now. It was the little square box. I knew by the sound that they had placed it almost exactly under my head. A minute and a half more, Flanagan said, Shall you or I pull the string? So they are asking who's going to pull the string. I will pull it, said Muller. I could stand it no longer. My nervous system seemed to give way in a moment. My nervous system seemed to give way means the speaker could not remain calm anymore. The pressure was too much for him, so he couldn't take it. And what did he do? Let's see. Stop! I screamed, springing to my feet. Stop! They both staggered backward. Staggered means almost fell over because of shock. So they were surprised. Who's this? Who's hiding over there? I imagine they thought I was a spirit. They must have got scared of him. With the moonlight streaming down upon my pale face. I was brave enough now. All of a sudden he got courage. I imagine they thought I was a spirit with the moonlight streaming upon my pale face. I was brave enough now. I had gone too far to stop. Would you have the blood of 200 upon your souls? I cried. So that means he says, are you going to take, the responsibility of killing 200 people who were there on board the ship? He's mad, said Flanagan. Time's up. Let it off, Muller. I sprang down upon the deck. You shan't do it, I said. So he's not letting them do it. It's no business of yours. Clear out of this. So they're like, go away from here. This is none of your business, whatever we are doing. Never, said I. Confound the fellow. Confound the fellow means it's an old-fashioned an expression used to show annoyance. I will hold him, Muller, while you pull the trigger. Next moment I was struggling in a Herculean grasp of the man. Herculean means powerful. From the story of Hercules, a character from Greek mythology known for his superhuman strength. So the man who was holding him had a very powerful, hold over this man. He pinned me up against the side of the vessel. Pinned me up means he just took me on the side and he would not let him move. And held me there. I saw the other approach the fatal box. Fatal means causing death. So he thought there was something that could cause death to them. He stooped over it. Stooped means he bent over it and seized the string, and he took hold of the string. Then came a sharp snap, a strange rasping noise. So there was a sharp snap and there was a noise. The trigger had fallen. The side of the box flew out and let off 2 grey carrier pigeons. So what was there inside the box? There were 2 carrier pigeons. What are carrier pigeons? They carry, in olden days, they were used to carry message from one place to another. So there were those 2 carrier pigeons. There wasn't anything that could take anybody's life. So this man was mistaken. Alright, so here is an extract clipped from the column of the New York Herald. That is the name of a newspaper. Shortly after our departure from America. So what came in the newspaper? Let's read. Extraordinary pigeons flying. A novel match has been pulled off last week between the birds of John F. Flanagan, that is one of the persons, of Boston, and Jeremiah Muller, a well-known citizen of Lowell. The start was from the deck of the ship Spartan. So this is what came in the newspaper, what was written in the newspaper. At 10 o'clock on the evening of the day of starting, the vessel being about 100 miles from land, the bird which reached home first was to be declared the winner. So that's what they were having, children. They were having it was a race of the birds. It was which bird would reach the land first would be the winner. Considerable caution had to be observed, as some captains have a prejudice against the organization of sporting events aboard their ships. Prejudice means unreasonable dislike. So some of them do not like it. The pigeons were, that's the reason they were hiding this, because maybe the captain of the ship might, disagree with holding this event. The pigeons were confined in a specially invented trap. What they were carrying, that was a trap for the pigeons, which could only be opened by a spring. It was possible to feed them through an opening in the top. In spite of a little difficulty at the last moment. Now, what was the difficulty? That man coming up and not letting them do whatever they wanted to do. The trap was sprung open almost exactly at 10 o'clock. Muller's bird reached land in an extreme state of exhaustion on the following morning. So when did it reach? It started at 10 o'clock and it reached land at in the morning. While Flanagan's has not been heard of, a few such matches would go far towards popularizing pigeon flying in America. So that's what they were doing actually. They were having a race of the pigeons. Who reaches the land first? And the other one mistook it and he thought they were terrorists.